welcome to the Let's Do Video Podcast. Today we have part 2 of our 3-part discussion with Highfive CEO Joe Manuele. In part 1, Joe shared how Highfive and the rest of the collaboration industry is responding to this crisis. And in part 2, we're going to talk about how this time it's different than the last crisis or the previous crises when we tried to rely on remote collaboration tools. This time it's different. We have this discussion of every once in a while there's a crisis and people try out video and they say, oh yeah, video's there if we need it. And we're saying, no, this time things are going to be different. I'm not saying the world's going to change and we're going to knock down all the offices and all be remote. But when this ends, it's not going to go back to how it was. Or that's my opinion. Do you agree?
Yeah, I did a podcast actually with Dave Michaels and Zeus and a few folks, and there was a topic that came up, and it was asked, is it different this time? And one of the analysts, and I won't name him just to protect his innocence, but he said, oh no, it's the same thing. We've been here before, and I completely disagreed. And now we got to experience it the last 10 days or so personally, anyway. And I'm really impressed with a couple of things. I'm impressed first of all with how quickly people adopt video. Like the adoption cycle has really, really shortened. So we spent a lot of time on enablement and adoption. I have one business that this week alone, and I'm seeing this, the numbers rise every day. A European customer in Belgium, actually, they went from literally 0 remote users. They just never used our platform. They used it only in the office. They went from 0 remote users to 900 this morning is what I checked. And 150 to 250 new users jumping on board every single day. And out of that group of folks, we got 12 tickets, which is amazing. And 10 of the 12 were how-to questions, right? Like, how do I do this? How do I do that? And the other 2 were related to their own personal network at home. So the way we're adopting the tools are so much easier to use, right? Like it's literally, here's a link, click on it, 1 click, you're on, and it works with your PC. And most of the companies in the video conferencing space have achieved that goal. The other thing is the infrastructure around us is really, really, much better. So we talked about, like, I can only escalate to video if I have the bandwidth to do that. And I often talk about the Maslow hierarchy of video conferencing needs. If I can't hear you, I can't have a meeting. And then the next one is I want to be able to share content. And then nirvana is when you get to see each other. And my thing about this, we're all working from home. I've got a Comcast. I wanted to tweet out kudos to Comcast actually, but I don't want to curse it. But they've been amazing. My DOCSIS 3 modem, 300 meg. But it's not just me; it's my daughters, my wife. We're all doing video in real time, and the network's holding up. And I've been on. I live on Highfive, but I also do Zoom calls. I also do Cisco WebEx calls. And for the most part, there's a few glitches here and there, but I'm amazed with considering the exponential growth in bandwidth or of traffic, how the infrastructure is holding up.
Yeah, I agree. At first I was worried about capacity, but I've been talking with enough vendors like you who have it under control, and I think we'll expect, there'll be a few calls that have hiccups, but I think we'll expect vendors will be able to expand their capacity. That's not really my concern. And one thing that I've noticed that I'm really pleased about, and it's another part of it being different this time, when there have been some bad calls, usually Twitter is, hey, what the heck's going on? Why am I paying for this service, blah, blah, blah. Instead of Twitter's been like, it's all right, service provider. We got your backs. We'll be patient. It's okay. We're all in this together, which is something you never see, and which is kind of funny. But a bigger part of why I think this is going to be different this time, well, first of all, because it all works. 10 years ago we tried this. It sort of worked. It worked well enough. We were able to work at 50% productivity working at home. Now it really works, and it really is easy. I've been following Highfive for a while. Whenever I talk to your devs, we're like, is it easy? If there's something that's not easy about the experience, let us know. We'll fix it. It's all about making it easy, and you guys aren't the only one. So it's easy for everyone. It works, and people are going to find out that I'm not 50% productive at home. I'm not 100% productive at home. I'm 120% productive at home. It really is true. I'm getting more work done. and I'm happier. So when this is over, we might say, hey, boss, I know you need to see me, but instead of 5 days a week, can I come into work 2 days a week?
Well, and the other thing is, I can see you. Like I don't. You don't need to get in a car and be stuck in traffic. And like on average, I spend an hour and a half a day in my car going back and forth. That's an hour and a half that I have to connect with people, right? And I'm often on the phone, but it's not the same thing. I can see you, I can have one-on-ones with you, I can connect with you, and to your point, the quality is amazing. It's really as close as being there. It's made me feel as a leader, and I think a lot of people are going through the same kind of questioning is, why do we spend as much time as we do, physically in one place at the same time? And there are some people that need to interact that way. There's jobs that our operations team who ships equipment and handles RMAs and all that. Like there's things you just physically, you need to physically be there to do those things. But for the most part, for knowledge workers, we can collaborate and connect using so many tools nowadays that it's really made me rethink, maybe I don't need all the space I have in Redwood City, and which is actually quite good timing because our lease is coming up at the end of the year and we need to make a decision about what we do.
And I think a lot of companies are going to be having those same kind of thoughts. Again, I don't want to overstate it. We're not going to knock down all the buildings and everyone's going to work remote in some sort of matrix future weird thing. We're still going to have offices, but I think commuting 5 days a week might become a lot less common. I think we've been talking the talk a long time. We've been saying remote work isn't a compromise. Remote work isn't something you have to put up with if there's someone you really just can't let the competition hire away from you and they want to work remote. You have to keep that star on your team. Now we say, these are the most productive members of my teams. I have a remote team and they're task killers. They don't work 9 to 5 and stare at the clock and wait for 5 so they could say I'm done. I put something on the to-do board and I look at it and hey, what did I put the card on? They already did it and took the card off the board because it's about getting the work done. And work is just a blend of life. It's not something you suffer through so you can get to have fun. It's all, they're just living their lives. And I think a lot of people are going to experience that now. I guess we're looking for a bright side.
Yeah, and I think, we talk about that from a business perspective and a business continuity perspective. The other thing I've done with my team is I've challenged them to find a worthy nonprofit and give them a free Highfive account and help them set it up. It's a lot more than just saying, come to highfive.com, download our free software. Take the time to show them how to use it. And the responses have been amazing. There's things like one of my employees in New York, called me up and said, hey, can I get my rabbi connected to Highfive? It makes sense. People aren't going to church or to the synagogue, to pray anymore. So, but he still wants to connect with his congregation. So he did his first service last week, and he'll be doing it again this weekend. We connected a child bereavement center. It's an association that helps parents who have lost children and who would meet, once a week or whatever it is, every 2 weeks, and obviously they can't meet anymore physically, but I've been using Highfive. And they're so thankful. And they're saying, you know what, moving forward, I can attend more meetings this way. It's easy for me to, I can't maybe physically make it all the time, but I can jump on a call anytime and get something out of it and contribute to it. I've got a small, there's a small business here in Half Moon Bay they have a small Pilates studio, and they have to shut down. So we hooked them up with a Highfive room box, and she's giving remote Pilates classes to stay connected to her customers and to provide that business continuity as well. So the tools go way beyond just business continuity. I'm toying with the term life continuity. Like, we need to connect as humans. We need to connect and we need to share experiences, but we have spiritual needs, we have emotional needs, and video is a great way to solve these things. And it's way more than how much money we're making now that everyone's on video. This is about how are we helping society rethink it. And then when you go back to normal, there's still, people will go to the synagogue, people will go to the Pilates studio, But I bet you that rabbi is going to keep that online link up and running for those that couldn't make it, you know. And I bet you the Pilates studio is going to, you know, keep her Highfive room going and connect with her customers virtually, right? And so I think that we'll probably see a little bit of a hybrid, and we're not going to go from this 100% growth back to, you know, where we were. I don't see the big V happening here. I actually think that more and more folks will say this is working out really, really well, and I'm going to use it as a way to continue extending the way I connect with people.
It might sound a little overdramatic, but we're really talking about like fundamental societal change. We're going to become a more remote society after this, and not completely, not ridiculously, but somewhat, and in a good way. And you know, and everything you were saying, the stories of the new uses and the charities, that ties into something that I really wanted to include in this. Is I want to give credit to the entire AV-UC collaboration video industry. Now, you know the way the news is, some players are going to get more credit than others, but I've seen every company I'm talking to, it's a bit of an awkward moment, because on the one hand, this is our moment. This is what we've been waiting for. Everyone is finally noticing us and seeing our value. But on the other hand, it's on the heels of something very real and very scary, and something that we're not at all happy about. So we don't want to just be sitting here, you know, cashing in our checks and counting our money and looking at our big numbers. That wraps up part 2 of our discussion. Please come back for part 3, where we talk about how after this is all over, we may see some fundamental differences in the way we look at our work-life balance.